All right, Lee.
Lee Spencer, Fox Sports. Lance did kind of hit a tender spot with you though during that race, and how far can a crew chief push somebody? And certainly it's under competition, but
yeah.
how far, is too far? And are you a guy that might need to be coached in a little different manner?
I just think you talk to people. It's real easy. You sit there and every situation is different, and the good people know exactly what each situation calls for at the very moment. I heard throughout my career, everybody's always sort of said that I wasn't focused, didn't have, especially when my daddy was alive and he was out there running like he does, and like he was. Everybody would compare me to him and say that I lacked so much determination, didn't have the willpower, or all that he had. He wore it on his sleeve, and I don't really do that. But but even after that, he passed away. Even I still got I don't have focus and this and that and other. So that sort of followed me throughout my career. But anytime somebody would say that I laid down or insinuated that I might or whatever, it just sort of pisses me off a little bit. But which I have a right to feel however I want to feel, or get upset about things that I want to get upset about. So I'm just a human being. But the thing about a really good crew chief is he'll know exactly what to say, and for each situation. So he knew Lance, knew to cheer me, back to my game and steer me in that direction with a little pep talk, and he did it, and that's what I needed. And maybe at times it's his job, maybe it ain't, maybe it's my job to keep my head together. But if he sees me going off in the wrong path, he cares enough to want to fix it, and he helped me out a lot at that moment, because I was really, really upset about how that went down. Regardless of who was right or wrong, I wasn't thinking about what I was supposed to be thinking about, my job, and so he did the right thing. But I go on the internet and read, listen to all these audio files of everybody else, and I don't see or hear anything that's really any different. So, and to be honest, what happened at Bristol on the radio, hell, that probably happens to half the field during every race, at some point. So, it's really not all that uncommon. You just there's some lines you just don't cross when you're pissed off and you're, talking dirty, and even if you're really mad at your crew chief, there's just lines you don't cross, and as long as we don't cross them, we'll be in good shape. We got to be able to speak up, when we feel strongly about something, but we just got to be able to have respect at the same time, and I think we've done that. He knew Sunday I wasn't mad at him. But I needed to tell somebody what I was mad about and why I felt that way.
Claire
B. Lang, Sirius NASCAR Radio. How much have you felt that you stretched yourself, that you've learned, gone outside of your normal mode with Lance and communicated differently or, pushed yourself?
I don't really feel like I've really had to change a bunch. The thing about Lance is Lance just works on my confidence all the time. Which that's what I need. Certain times there's moments when during the work, the bulk of the work of the weekend is really on Fridays and Saturdays, and during that time, there's little moments where he goes, We're gonna get this extra. We're gonna get this little bit right here. We're gonna work and you're going to do this for us, and we're going to do this, and that's going to get us to where we want to be on the time chart. That's going to get us to the target lap time that we want. And so that's kind of refreshing, and he just asks you to step up a little bit, and he really sort of does that to the whole team at the same time. He just says, all right, everybody just step up a little bit, and that's really a lot of fun. So especially when it works, which it does most of the time. So even if it only worked half the time, it's worth the effort. So it's good. He's just done a good job. He's got a good group of guys around him, and they keep improving. And I'm happy to be working with him.
Okay, Joe, go ahead.
Joe Menzer, NASCAR.com. Dale, I'm just wondering how much have you missed us in here? You're glad to be back with the media availability and talk about just being back in the top 12.
Honestly, I don't. I try not to say too much when I get in here, which never happens. But because I like to go on the internet and not read about myself. But I know a couple years ago we were in the top 12 all the time for quite a bit of the season, and it was frustrating having to sort of bullshit your way through a top 12 media session when there was nothing to talk about, but we would find something, and that's what would be all over the news, whether it was me talking about it or another driver. But I enjoyed last week and everything that went on with you guys. I was watching it from the sidelines, and I'm glad to be in the top 12, so I'll come in here every damn week if I have to. So. As long as I can stay in that top 12. I remember, though, that first year how I complained a lot to Mike Davis about having to come to do the top 12 media, top 10 or whatever it was every week. But after this spell I've been in, I'll put up with it.